they've experienced. Hi, Geeta. Does anyone want to unmute themselves?
I'll just add, hi, sorry I was late. I think we all had a massive blip on SSI a couple of months ago.
Yes.
Mine went from 78 to like 59. I'm like, so it's back up to 73, and it's so great that you've tracked it there. Thank you for that, Louise, to say it was this and now it's this 24 months later. I'm nowhere near that analytical, but yeah, I don't track it very regularly, but I did have a look just before this call, and it's back to 73. I think we'll probably talk about this anyway, is the danger is that I think it's a great indicator and I think it's great to track. I think one of the dangers is that we then, it's like likes and comments, we then get really distracted by that. Well, not really, possibly distracted by that when there's an opportunity around consistency to just say, you don't know who's watching you, that's never liked anything, that's never commented on anything, that hasn't added to the algorithm or the SSI, and then they're like, hey, and we've all got those stories to tell. So yeah, it was just a comment around that really from me.
Yeah. Anyone else? I've certainly noticed that my score goes up if I post once a week with a bit of interaction. My score maybe edges down a couple of points in the SSI score, but when I'm posting twice a week and getting regular interaction, it sort of stays up about that. So I have noticed, you know, with the interval. So I suspect if posting 3 times a week, that might increase it a bit more, but it's a question of fitting it in around business and doing all of the other things that we're doing.
I don't know if anybody else noticed, those of us that regularly do our Wednesday posts, for the first, well, up until recently, I would trend off the back of whatever I posted on the Wednesday, but I haven't the last couple of weeks, and I just wondered if I wonder if they've now noticed our group, and so because normally we'd send on the weekend, say, oh, I'm trending, and I noticed that nobody else had either, so I wondered if, I don't know if we can mix up who comments on what, or is that just going to get too complicated?
I agree with you, Kim. I've not had a trending post for a couple of weeks also, and also I've had, my numbers have dropped massively, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to keep posting. I think that we just have to ignore the logarithm. I mean, take it with a pinch of salt. I think it's there because it's there to encourage us to use their platform. But if we're getting the right responses and we're getting things for our companies and inbound inquiries, that's fine. But it is good also to notice what's working and what's not working so well. And I think Louise is going to talk about hashtags later. I think they make all the difference.
Yeah, so maybe we can revisit that, Kim, just at the last section when it comes onto hashtags. Shall I move on to the next section, because we might want to sort of do a bit of a roundup at the end, if rather than
Louise.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one question? You talked a lot about the posting of articles and stuff like that in terms of personal brand. One of the things that, and you know, to the others' points as well, I've noticed that, you know, I had trending posts regularly, but then it stopped about 2 weeks ago. So that's one thing. But what I've also done is I've changed the post because I wanted to test different things. So when you're actually looking at your profile and your personal brand, does it need to be relevant to what you're doing, or can the articles be different? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that have an impact in terms of, do you know if it has an impact in terms of what's being pushed out there?
I do know from what I've been reading about on the hashtag trending thing that it works mixing the hashtags up. So I suspect that having slightly varied content rather than always being the same thing, I don't know about that. My scores more or less stay the same, and I end up posting not only about property but sometimes about immigration, or, you know, European countries, or COVID related stuff. I haven't noticed that has distracted at all, but I don't know whether, if you're talking something, you know, discussing nappies versus, you know, crowdfunding, I don't know at that extreme. because most of my topics are sort of related in some form or another, but they're not all exactly the same. I don't know what anyone else's view is on that. I don't.
So, hi, this is Hannah.
Oh, hi.
This is my very first time joining this call. Hi, this is my very first time joining this call, and this is all very new to me. I didn't even know this thing existed. So I'm interested in really understanding a little bit more about how does this actually work? And I know you've mentioned it a little bit, but if I click on the link that you showed earlier, would that then give me my score? Is that how it works? Is that step one, or do I need to do something else first?
No. You use that URL. I don't know about clicking on it, but you need to copy it into your your browser bar. And then if I were you, I would take a screenshot, so you've got a snapshot in time, so you can see in a couple of months' time whether that's working or not.
Okay. And in terms of the definition of what's working, is that measured in terms of engagement, or is that people in terms of looking at your profile, or the number of people that are reaching out to connect with you? What do you define as engagement?
The number of people that are interacting with your posts, who are requesting to connect with you. If you take a bit of a further look at the SSI, because I covered a number of the dimensions in the previous slide. Is that enough, Hannah? Because
I think, sorry, it's you can't see me because I'm at my mum's, but so I'm sort of half on and half off. So I apologise for that. So maybe that's why my question may not be so relevant. But I'll go back and have a look at the link, and perhaps I can reach out to you if I'm still unclear. Would that be something I can do?
Or maybe I'll post in the WhatsApp group. The point of having this Zoom call, there are a number of queries over the months in the WhatsApp call that we couldn't really sort out from the WhatsApp group. It's much better to have a discussion. So if I move on to the next section, and then if there's stuff that's still outstanding at the very end, because otherwise I know some people have got to go.